So I told Isaiah, I said, hey man, I think the highest we can go on this is 112. And Isaiah's like, great, Dad. So we show up. And of course, these are businessmen and women, right? There's my 13-year-old son. And I said, here's the deal. When he starts giving a price, you're going to be raising your hand, man. You're the one bidding on this. And he's like, whoa, what? I go, yeah, you can do it. All you got to do is raise your hand. Like, I'm going to buy it, but you just raise your hand. 13-year-old son and this other gentleman. And now they're in the middle of the courthouse and they're kind of like face to face, but not like fighting, but face to face, it's you and I were down to this. And it gets to 110. Isaiah raises his hand. 111, the other investor raises his hand. And Isaiah knows our number because we prayed. So the auctioneer says 112 on West Queen. Isaiah raises his hand. And of course, I wouldn't be telling you the story if you didn't know what happened next. The other investor says, good job, son, right? And shakes my son's hand. What an amazing story. We got this house for $112,000. And Isaiah got to see so many principles manifest itself. Hi, welcome to the DanCan Show, where I love what I do and I do what I love, and so should you. This is the podcast. This is the show where we learn how to provide, protect, and promote. We do this by investing in ourselves, investing in others, and investing in real estate. We also do this by listening to our Savior Jesus Christ. We look to business principles that can be found in the Bible. I oftentimes talk about the beginning, the Genesis, and today it's just like that. Have you ever wondered, hey, how can I promote others? What does that look like to promote others? In this show, we're going to dive into some fantastic, real principles that you're going to want to write down on how you can help those around you. And the beautiful thing about life is that when we bless others, we are blessed. In addition to that, if you hold on till the end of this show, and I hope you do, you're going to find out how a 13-year-old bought a property for $112,000 and in today's date, 7 years later, it's worth over $300,000. If that interests you, please hold on till the end. So we're going to start at the beginning. Genesis. God created the universe. He created the earth. He created Adam and Eve. One of the amazing things about God is that he created Adam and then he promoted him. He gave him something to do. And what did he give him to do? To name the animals. We're here to help others. We're here to work with Christ in regards to his mission. One of my favorite verses and stories is when Jesus gets together with his disciples, the 12, and he says, and this is a Dan Can paraphrase, I'm going to send you out. And I'm going to send you out 2 by 2. I'm going to have you participate in the ministry that you've been seeing for years. What a shocking example of preparing others and also promoting others to go do the work. I could only imagine what it was like to be a disciple that day sitting in that room. Wow, I watched this man. I've been in awe of this man. I've seen these miracles. He's healed people. He's delivered people. He's making an unbelievable ruckus. And then he says, hey, you guys go do the same. And he gives them some very detailed things to do. Don't bring a tunic, extra tunic. Don't worry about food. If they don't like you, man, shake the sandals off your, shake the sand off your sandals and go to the next house or the next town. What an amazing trust Jesus had in his disciples. The other story or verse that really promotes this is when Jesus in Romans 8:31, it reads in Romans about Jesus that he is interceding for us. He's praying for us. He's always advancing his kingdom in our heart and our soul if we're ready to receive it, and more importantly, ready to act on it. And that's what I love about the kingdom is that if we listen, we hear, we obey, we will be blessed. And that's what's so exciting about promoting others. Jesus is such a fantastic example of believing in somebody before they believe in themselves. And that's what's really at the heart of this third pillar, which is promote. The three pillars, once again, are provide, protect, and promote. I believe as business owners, as husbands, as fathers, as leaders, that our role is to do those three things and do those three things well. When you promote others, you see something in them before they can see it. And I can tell you from personal examples on my own life how that has occurred. As we turn into the second part of this podcast, I'm going to explain a fantastic coach that I had. Man, he was an unbelievable man. His name was Ernie. He was a fantastic eighth grade basketball coach. I'm going to dive into that in just a little bit. But first, we're going to listen to a short word from our sponsors, and we want to thank Busy Bee Solutions for this sponsorship. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about the amazing eighth grade basketball coach that helped Dan Can develop a hook shot. Hey, welcome back. I'm glad you stayed with us. So, as many of you know, I grew up basically with a single mom, and she had to work really hard and long hours to make it work for us. And I'm very thankful that she did that. I really liked sports, and I was athletic enough to make the team, but I wasn't necessarily going to be in the paper all the time, unless we were talking about track. I did pretty well on that. But where this story is going in regards to promoting is I really wanted to play basketball. And, you typically learn basketball moves and plays from your dad. And this is before, this is back in the 80s. Okay. So there wasn't like youth sports like it is today where these kids are on elite teams in third grade. And so I hadn't really played organized basketball. I went to John Sedgwick Junior High in good old Port Orchard, Washington, or as I love to call it, Big Time PO in Duringly. And I made the eighth grade basketball team. Now, I didn't even know that there were plays in basketball. Okay, I watched basketball, but I just thought they were just kind of doing their thing, running around. I didn't know there was actual plays. And so in eighth grade, I was about 5'10", not the tallest, but not the shortest. And I made the team. We had our first practice, and we had this coach. His name was Ernie. He was a custodian for his profession at, I believe, it was an elementary school. And he was a great man. He really, really pushed us. We were not the most talented basketball team. And if I tear up during this, it's only because it really means a lot to me. Ernie is really one of the first coaches that really invested in me. And so after I made the team, we had a couple practices, and Ernie could really uh he really knew that I didn't know what I was doing. I guess is the best way to explain it. And I'll never forget this. Instead of yelling at me, instead of belittling me, instead of making fun of me, he pulled me aside. We sat down on the bench, and he said, "Hey," and back then I wasn't Dan, I was Danny. And so he was like, "Hey Danny, listen, I can see that you kind of don't know what you're doing. And we really need you to be on this team, and we really need you to develop some skill sets. And more importantly, we really need you to know the plays. What I'm going to do is I want to spend, after practice is over, I want to spend, 15 to 20 minutes with you extra to teach you the plays, to teach you some certain things I think would really help your game." Now, when you're in eighth grade, I was thankful, but nowhere near as thankful as I am now at 49. And, he sat there after a long practice, after working all day long. He spent an extra 15 to 20 minutes with me for about 2 weeks. And one of the fun things about Ernie was that he was just fun, and he was hardworking, and he wanted to win, but he did it the right way. And he would run plays with us, and he would, run the stairs with us and all those other great things. And I think if you're going to promote others, you got to be with them. And Ernie was with me, eighth grade. And I'll never forget this. And this is my favorite part of the story is after a few of these private sessions, if you will, he's like, "Hey, Danny, listen, You're not a shooting guard. You're not a point guard. You're going to be a low post player. And listen, you're never going to be the tallest guy. You're never going to be the most athletic guy. He's like, but I want to teach you this shot. And this shot is a baby hook shot, bank shot. And the beauty about it is if you learn to play with to your back to the basket, you can surprise these guys that are taller than you and you can do really well. Well, I had no idea how much I was going to love this shot. And if you ever play pickup basketball with me, believe me, at some point in time, I'm going to bust this shot out 3 to 4 times. And so I did this little baby hook shot, and I got to be able to start, and we won some games. But what really stands out to me about Ernie was that he saw something in me that I didn't see. He knew what I didn't know. And instead of going the hard route and, like I said earlier, belittle me or make fun of me or yell at me, he took his time to invest in me to help me. I love the game of basketball. I love playing the game of basketball. And I really believe one of the reasons why is because Ernie took that time to show me. Now, the reason why I tell you all this is because I have 3 sons and I had an opportunity to coach basketball. And my oldest son, who's going to come up later in this podcast, I got to coach him. And guess what? In 8th grade, well, now we start a little sooner with him because it's youth sports, right? So when he was in 5th grade, 4th grade, I taught him that baby hook shot that Ernie taught me. And I can tell you, every time I saw my oldest son Isaiah do that baby hook shot, it just, one, I think it's fun and it's a great shot. But two, it brings me back to, I think it was 1988, where Ernie was at John Sedgwick Junior High out there on the court showing me this baby hook shot. And here we are, 40 years later, and 30 years at that time, showing my son the same shot. And that's what's so great when you become a leader and you want to promote others, is you get the joy and satisfaction of passing that down. Earlier, I talked about the Genesis where, God gave Adam the role to create and create names. And then I talked earlier about how Jesus is interceding for us and how he equipped the 12 disciples to go out and do his work. And that's what leadership is you're continually growing, you're multiplying yourself and others to do the work of the Lord. Ernie was such a blessing to me. Unfortunately, I never really was able to thank him because I was an 8th grader, and maybe he gets the opportunity to listen to this podcast. But I want you to know that if you're in a place of leadership, either as a husband, as a father, as a business leader, or just a leader, you want to take that time, that precious time, to show others, to look, pray for them, to know where they're going, where they can go. We talk a lot on this podcast about rooftop prayers, and I want to spend some time talking about that again. Rooftop prayers is something that I got in prayer. Our house, we have a beautiful house I'm very proud of, and it overlooks the Spokane, not so much the valley, but Spokane in general. And you can see a lot of rooftops. And one of the first couple months that we lived in this house, I looked over those rooftops and I was like, man, Lord, you just didn't give me this view just to enjoy and for my family to enjoy. You gave me this to pray for the people in Spokane for the, salvation, redemption, restoration, transformation. And so I saw all these different rooftops and I was like, hey, that's it. Rooftop prayers. I'm here. I can see these people. These people are hurting. They need the love of Jesus, the power of Jesus. And so that's actually what started this. And then it developed for me where anybody that I habitually share a rooftop with, I have a prayer list and their names are on this prayer list. Obviously, that's people that live with me, people that work with me, the rentals that I own. I pray for those tenants that Jesus would save them, would restore them, transform them, empower them. And it's really something that is much like what I'm talking about today. I'm promoting Christ in these people's lives. And what a joy. Ernie promoted me. He believed in me. He taught me a skill set at 49 I still have today. How can you do that for someone today? I want to take a short break. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, Wave Capital. When we return, I am going to tell the dynamic story about how a 13-year-old bought a house for $112,000 that's worth $300,000 today. Welcome back. So, I live here in beautiful Spokane, Washington. And much like the United States, real estate has really seen some growth. Specifically in Spokane County, we've done really quite well. The key to real estate is you make your money on the buy. Anybody that's ever been around real estate, men and women, know that. You make your money on the buy. Now, we specialize in off market properties. And so, what I mean by that is a property that's not listed currently, or most times not listed currently on the MLS. And so, there's so many different ways that you can find these properties. You can find them from direct mail, search engine optimization, pay per click, wholesalers, referrals from realtors. Most recently, I've been getting referrals from small business owners, men that own a flooring company, another man that owns a really large landscaping company. They know that I buy off market properties. Well, when I first started, I didn't have all those things. I was just getting started. And this is about 7, 8 years ago. In our city, Spokane, here, there's a fantastic hard money lender named Inland Capital. They've been doing business for quite some time. A great strategic partner of ours. And if you're in Spokane or Washington, and I do believe they lend in Idaho as well, and you're looking for financing, I know that they would love to talk with you. One of the features that they brought to the table back in the day was they just wouldn't lend you money. They actually educate you on how to do this. And so they had an office downtown Spokane. My oldest son Isaiah is a business wants to be a businessman, is a businessman, and so I brought him with me. He was 13 years old at the time. We went down to a couple of their classes, and it was fantastic. Your contact there, his name is Landon, and Landon would teach these courses on how to buy off-market properties, and they basically specialized in how to buy them down at the auction, or what I call the steps, down at the steps. So Isaiah, I bring him down there with me, and there's all these older, people like me, and there's my 13-year-old son, and I'm trying to teach him, right? I'm trying to promote how to provide for your family, provide, protect, promote. And so he's in the class with us. Landon does a great job of presenting the information. There's all these details when you go to buy these off-market properties. It's not like going down to Walmart or Nordstrom's and buying a pair of shoes. Like there's rules and there's all these different things. And so one of the rules is this: if there is a water bill on the property, you buy the property, the city's not going to turn on the water until they get paid. And by the way, buddy, since you own it now, you get to pay the water bill. It doesn't really sound like a big deal because most of us, our water bills are like what, 120, maybe $200. Well, I've had to pay off water bills up to $4,500. And so obviously this is a key information you want to know before you go to buy a property. So Isaiah and I, we go to these classes a couple times, and we're looking online. They have this online feature where it can show you, the tax assessed value, light underwriting, like if it needs new windows or if it needs new roof, things like that. Well, the big day is when you actually go down to the auction, and of course, there's other investors there. They're trying to do the same thing you're doing. So I was trying to promote how to do business the right way. I bring Isaiah with me a couple times, and really, to be honest, I was kind of chicken. I didn't put my hand up because I just didn't know what I was doing. Watched it a couple times, and then I was kind of getting upset at myself because it's like, man, I'm showing my son how to do all this stuff, but yet I'm not doing it. So I said, basically, the next time we're buying a house, and there would be anywhere from 2 to 7 houses going each Friday, and there would be anywhere from 6 to 15 investors there. So there was this one house that I really liked, and I told Isaiah, I was like, "Hey, let's go down there. I really like this house here." And so we do all the underwriting, all the great stuff. We go to pull up in front of the auction house there at the county courthouse steps. And I just felt like, man, I want to teach my son how to do this right. So I looked at Isaiah. I said, "Hey, I think kind of what the deal is. we haven't prayed. Like we just show up, we believe like let's just pray. The Lord knows and he's our king and he wants to give us a house, great. If he doesn't, no big deal. So in Isaiah and I we pray and we ask that the Lord would guide us, he protect us, give us his favor, give us wisdom. And then I like want to take it a step further. And so I was like, "Hey Isaiah, let's do this. Let's have some fun. Let's pray and ask for a number on how high we'll go on this house." And Isaiah, he's 13. He's like, "Great, Dad, let's do it." So we pray. And, I felt like I heard the number 112. Now, was that Jesus? Was that me? Was that bad pizza? I don't know. All I know is I heard 112. So I told Isaiah, I said, "Hey, man, I think the highest we can go on this is 112." And Isaiah's like, "Great, Dad." So we show up. And of course, these are businessmen and women, right? There's my 13-year-old son. And I said, here's the deal. When he starts giving a price, you're going to be raising your hand, man. You're the one bidding on this. And he's like, "Whoa, what?" I go, "Yeah, you can do it. All you got to do is raise your hand. Like, I'm going to buy it, but you just raise your hand." So, there's 12, 14 investors there, and it started at 85,000. So 85,000, do I hear 86? You've all been to an auction. And it's going to 87, 90. I'm like, "Hey, we might get this." And then as it goes higher, more and more people fall out. Well, it keeps going, it keeps going. And then it's Isaiah, my 13-year-old son, and this other gentleman. And now they're in the middle of the courthouse. And they're kind of like face to face, but not like fighting. But, face to face, it's you and I were down to this. So it's 106, 107, 108, 109. And I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm a Mariners fan, right? So if the score is close, we're going to lose." So I'm like, "Oh, man, we're going to lose this." And it gets to 110. Isaiah raises his hand. 111, the other investor raises his hand. And Isaiah knows our number because we prayed. So the auctioneer says 112 on West Queen. Isaiah raises his hand. And of course, I wouldn't be telling you the story if you didn't know what happened next. The other investor says, "Good job, son," right? And shakes my son's hand. What an amazing story. We got this house for $112,000. And Isaiah got to see so many principles manifest itself. I don't know if people clapped, but they were definitely clapping because they were smiling and everyone was like, "Wow, that was an unbelievable moment." That house today, with some minimal, we had to put a roof on it, a furnace, some other light stuff. We bought it for 112. It's currently worth $300,000. Can you believe that? And we really haven't done that much. And the joy of it is we've gotten the depreciation, our taxes, we've gotten the appreciation, and obviously the renter is paying down the debt. Like what an amazing investment tool. And I'm also obviously, quote unquote, investing in real estate, but I'm also investing in my son. I'm investing in my chosen profession, which I really enjoy, which is being a real estate investor with along with some of the other businesses that I currently own. Isaiah talks about that story all the time. And I want to talk about the steps on how you can, through these stories, what you can write down. And please write this down. One is you want to invest in yourself. You do that through education, you do that through prayer, you do that through mentorship. The second thing you want to be able to do is you want to have a vision for yourself, a vision for your family, a vision for your business. The third step is you want to have a vision for those people around you. You want to take what they're good at, make them better, and help them improve in the things that they're not. The fourth thing, which is so powerful, is as a real estate investor, the tenant. Now, here's a story about this particular tenant. So, Isaiah was 13, like I said, and we have a tradition in our family that when our children turn 13, I will take them anywhere in the continental United States for their birthday. Isaiah, who wants to be a businessman, wanted to go to New York. He wanted to see Wall Street. And I said, "Hey, let's go." So we go to New York, and I'll never forget this. I get a phone call while we're in the hotel in New York. And I said, "Hi, this is Dan." And it's like, "Hi, Dan, this is Andrew. I'm helping you on West Queen. I'm the contractor that you hired. And I'm here on the roof, putting a new roof on." And Andrew, that's the gentleman's name, the contractor said, "Hey, what are you doing with this property?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. We just got it at auction. I did pretty well on it. I don't know if I'm going to flip it or hold it." And Andrew said, "Hey, I know you don't know me," is what he said. He goes, "But my wife and I and my children, we're in a really bad spot up north. We're living in a single wide, and the landlord started a bonfire about 20 yards away from our mobile home that almost caught our mobile home on fire. I don't trust this guy. We're kind of in danger. We'd really love to rent this house from you." And I said, "Hey, Andrew, I'm in New York right now with my son. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you." And the more I thought and prayed about it, I was like, yeah, let's just keep it as a rental. Well, here's the amazing thing. Andrew started renting the property and he did some side work for me. And I thought, man, this is a really gifted guy. He's really good at what he does. And we talked some more. I had him do some side work. And he was not complaining about his boss, but really didn't like where he was working. And I said, "Hey, Andrew, here's the deal. I'm thinking about flipping a lot more properties. Why don't you come work for me? I'll start a general contracting company. You can be the head foreman, and we'll just start flipping properties in Spokane." And he's like, "Hey, I'm in." He resigned from the other place. And to this day, Andrew has worked for me for about 5, 6 years. Isn't that great? And so, he got a great house because he's the one working on it. And I got a fantastic leader and team member in Andrew. And he has actually recruited a number of people to come work for our construction company. And so, really proud of Isaiah in this story. I'm really proud of Andrew in this story. I'm thankful that he gets a safer place for he and his family. And obviously, I'm very thankful that he's on our team because he does fantastic work. I'm going to bring this all together and have a couple more things that I want you to write down. But before we do that, I want to listen to this. I want you to listen to this wonderful sponsor of ours. And guess what? It's DanCan Insurance Agency. We'll see you on the other side. Hi, welcome back. I disciple 6 guys. We meet Friday mornings, and guess what? The name of our group is Marketplace Minister. These are young men that are just starting their career, and they want to have an impact where they work, not only where they work, but in their families. I got to tell you, I love Friday mornings. I get together with these guys, and they just bring a ton of joy to me. And we had this new gentleman join our group. His name's Justin, and he was I was introducing him to the group, and I said, "Hey, this is Justin," and as they all said hi, like guys do. And I said, "Hey, Justin, he is actually working part time, but he also works for Young Life, and he and his wife are ministering at Salk Middle School. If any of you have any connections to Salk Middle School, whether you know a teacher, a principal, a coach, or a student that goes there or went there, I would really love it if you could talk to Justin." So then we went over the discipleship time, what I believe the Lord wanted to share, and towards the end, I always end with, guess what? Provide, protect, and promote. And Justin, being new to the group, he's like, "Hey, Dan, I really connect with providing for my family. I really connect. I really understand protecting for my family." He goes, "But Dan, I really don't understand how I can promote people in my family." And, I kind of smile and I said, "Hey, oftentimes when I talk to people, that's one that they struggle with. But I said, 'Hey, Justin, how did I start this time when I introduced you?' And he said, 'Well, you said my name.' I said, 'Yeah.' And I said, 'But what else did I say?' And he said, 'Oh, well, you told everybody that I'm doing ministry at Salk. And if they know anyone,'" he goes, "Oh, you were promoting me in my ministry at that moment, weren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "That's the joy of this, is that you get to provide, protect, and promote in every conversation if you really want to." And so he was smiling, and it's kind of a joke of ours for right now. I want you to write this term down, and I hope it blesses you as much as it's blessed me. And here it is. It's called the Law of 72. The Law of 72. I read this in a book about 10 years ago. It really changed my life. And this is what it is. Anytime I go to a seminar, anytime I read a book, anytime I listen to a podcast that's impactful, I take a concept, I write it down, and I have 72 hours to act on it, to basically obey what I believe the Lord has showed me to do. If you believe that you're called to provide, protect, and promote, and if you believe that you're called to promote, I want you to write down 3 names of people that you believe you need to promote. I want you now to write down what are some of the things that you want to promote in their lives. As a leader, I talk to a lot of people that oftentimes will ask my advice. They'll tell me they're doing certain things or not doing certain things. And I often challenge them with this concept, and I want to share it with you. We can say a lot of things, but that doesn't mean we're doing it. I want to encourage you to do this. You know the kind of person you are by these 3 things. Where do you spend your time? where do you spend your money, and what has your attention? Because whatever has your attention, that's the direction you're going to go. So, how you spend your time, how you spend your money, and what has your attention. If you truly want to be an amazing husband, you have to spend time with your wife. You want to be a truly amazing father, you have to spend time with them. And I'm not talking about just sitting in the living room. I'm talking about set a part time on a schedule so they know that they are important to you, because sometimes life can just take us. And we don't want that. We want to take life to where we want to go, where we believe the Lord wants to go. So that law of 72, I'm going to hit that topic a lot. It's just like the Genesis. I'm going to always talk about the beginning. I hope that those three people that you wrote down their names, I hope in 3 weeks they can come to you and say, hey, I feel like there's something different in our relationship. Hey, I really appreciate the way you're making time for me. Or I really appreciate your believing in me. Just like Ernie believed in me with the baby hook shot, just like I believed in Isaiah that he could buy a house at 13, just like Justin knew that I was promoting him in his ministry even before even saying, hey, I'm promoting Justin's ministry. Life is to be lived, and it is to lived to serve Christ, glorify his name, and to serve his people. What joy. Thank you so much for listening to this third podcast of ours. I hope that you have an amazing journey. Be blessed. I am thankful for you. Love well and do good.